Okay, so we're going to go over the piecewise functions. And so this one has three pieces. So we're going to do a red piece, and we'll also do a blue piece, and then we'll also do a green piece. So let's go and look at these. So the very first thing you're going to do is the first one is y equals 3. Put that in your calculator, or just know that whatever your x value is, your y value is going to be 3. So our interval that we're looking for is x is less than or equal to -1. So it could be equal to -1, so we're going to put a -1 in there. And then we're also going to go less than, so -2, maybe -3. You'll get the idea as you go along. Okay, so if you need to put that in your calculator, put that in your calculator. If not, just know all your y values are 3. So let's plot those 3 points. I'm going to hit pause so that you can do that. All right, so I plotted those 3 points, and it could be equal to where x is -1. Here's -1 for x. And then it's going to go this direction forever to infinity, right? Because anything less than -1 is going to go to -infinity. All right, now let's go move on to the next function. And we're going to color that one blue. So I've got, let's plug in, go ahead and clear out everything out of your calculator. And then plug in y equals 4 minus x. All right, I'll give you a minute to do that. Now go to your table. And remember, your table on your calculator, if you need it, is going to be second graph. All right, so now once you plug that in, now we got to look at our interval. Our interval is going from -1, but it's not including -1, but we've got to put it in there. And then it's going all the way up to 4. So we've got to go all the way from -1 to 4. So -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we'll just do the interval now, and then we'll figure out if we're going to fill it in with a bubble or if we're going to fill in the circle. All right, so there's our interval. Let's go and evaluate that. I'm going to pause this so you can fill it in, and I'm going to fill it in. All right, so now I got my table filled in. I am going to go and plot these points, but I've got to figure out if I'm going to do a bubble or if I'm going to fill in a circle anywhere. So if you look at the relationship between -1 and x is not actually equal to -1. So we're going to fill this in with a bubble, okay? This is going to have to be bubbled in because it's not actually equal, but we have to use it as a boundary. So I'm going to bubble in that point, but then I'm going to put a point for everything else. So go ahead and hit pause and plot your point. All right, so I filled in all my points. I put a bubble at -1, 5. And I'm trying to decide if I need to fill in the point where x is 4 or not. So let's look at the relationship up here. And it says x could be equal to 4. So we're going to fill in the point where x is 4. Now remember, when we're graphing, we don't just plot points. We've got to fill in the lines in between because we're talking about all real numbers. So fill in all those points in between. And that's all you do with that one. All right, so we're done with that interval. Go on to the last one. The last one is y equals 3x minus 10. Go ahead and clear out your other equations in your y equals. Put in 3x minus 10 in your y equals, and then go to your table, and then we're going to fill in the interval. I'll give you a minute to do that. Okay, so if you hit pause, you had a minute to do that. So if you didn't hit pause, I'm not waiting on you. You just need to hit pause. All right, let's look at the interval that we're talking about. We're talking about y or x is greater than 4. Greater than 4. Now, 4 is a boundary, so we have to still put 4 in there. All right, and whatever we put in there is going to be a bubble because it is not equal. It just has to show that it's like a boundary, but it's not actually equal to it. All right, and now greater than 4, just pick a couple numbers greater than 4. I'm going to pick 5 and 6. Go ahead and fill in your table. All right, I filled in my table for 3 points. You can pick other points, but they have to be the numbers that are greater than 4. Can't just pick anything and graph it. All right, so now we're going to go, I'm looking at my blue line here. I need to fix that. I need to connect to that. Anyway, all right, so now we're going to go and we're going to plot these points. So at 4, 2, we're going to put another bubble because it's not equal. And then we're going to plot 5, 5. I think that's right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, now you've got them plotted. Now you connect your dots. And remember, if it's greater than 4, it's going to go on to infinity. All right. So while we're here and while we're talking, let's talk about domain and range. Okay? So let's talk about the domain of this function. I'm going to move this down. I'm going to write down here in the bottom quadrant. The domain, let's look at that. How far left is it going? Well, it is going forever to the left. So it is going to go from negative infinity. And then how far right will it eventually go? It's going to go from all the way up and all the way actually to the right. So you got to think, how far right is it going? Because we're talking about domains, we're talking about x's. So this goes from negative infinity to positive infinity. All right. Now, if we're talking about the range, this gets a little trickier. Okay. So I'm going to pick a different color for range. I'm going to make it purple. Okay. So range is going to be my purple color. How far down? Where's your lowest point? Well, this one's moving off to the left, so it's not going any lower. So I got to go find a lower point. It looks like this point right here, 4, 0, is my lowest point on this function. And then we look where our highest point is. Now, if I look, this arrow is going up. So I'm thinking this is going to go to positive infinity if it never stops, right? So let's go and write our range. So our range is going from the y value here is 0, and it could be equal to 0. And then we're talking about y's, and then how high is it going? It's going up to infinity. And that's it. That's your range for that function. All right, so I'm going to have you work on a couple of problems. I've got a worksheet for you. So that's what we're working on today. All right, have a great day.